Hi Year 10 and welcome to this lesson on waterfalls and gorges. By the end of this lesson today you will be able to answer the questions how does a waterfall form and how does a waterfall retreat to form a gorge. In your booklet you'll notice that you have got this diagram. I'm just going to talk you through it initially. At this point you don't need to write anything down. So to begin with, we have to have harder, more resistant rock overlying softer, less resistant rock. As the water works its way over the top of the rock, it will erode the softer rock at a faster rate than the harder rock. The softer rock will erode because of the processes of hydraulic action and abrasion. As the water gets steeper, the force of it will cause a plunge pool to form below. And this plunge pool, as it says here, will have very turbulent water, and this will only add to the speeding up of the erosive power of the river. Okay, so what happens is we've got our river flowing over our harder rock, and power of the water through hydraulic action and erosion will erode our softer rock. What it does is it undercuts the softer rock, so it takes chunks out of it. As a result of that, the harder rock is left jutting out, sticking out as an overhang, and it is unsupported because it doesn't have the softer rock underneath to help to hold it up. So our hard rock overhang eventually is going to collapse. When it collapses, it adds further sediment to our plunge pool, which again adds to the power of the river in terms of hydraulic action and abrasion, because that sediment can then help to scour out and cut away the softer rock again. This process repeats over time. And what that means is that the waterfall eventually moves upstream. So some will collapse, it will erode a bit further, it will collapse again, erode further, and so on and so forth. And that means that the waterfall retreats, it moves backwards upstream. And that leaves behind a narrow gorge, which is a steep-sided gorge. How do we end up in this situation in the first place? So we have to have hard rock on top of soft rock, and we have to have a bit of soft rock that is vulnerable to the water, that is exposed to the water, so that this process of erosion can take hold initially. Okay. So you can see here in your booklet as well, you have got lots of key terms, and you would need all of these words if you were asked in the exam to explain the formation of a waterfall. So what I would like you to do is to try and put these words in the correct order, as if you were going to write a full explanation. You might want to just number them initially before we go through in a second, but just to help you out, the first one is alternate bands. So if you have a think about what you might need alternate bands of, and that should get you off to a good start. You might want to pause here so that there's no spoilers in a second when I move on. So the correct order looks like this then. We've got alternate bands of harder rock and soft rock. We know that our processes of erosion here are hydraulic action and abrasion. A rock step is formed as a result of hydraulic action and abrasion being able to cut away at some of that softer rock, forming a little step. Over time, that step becomes steeper, and with the force of the water creates a plunge pool underneath. The soft rock is further eroded and is undercut by the processes of hydraulic action and erosion. If we've undercut the soft rock, that means that we've left behind the harder, more resistant rock left sticking out as an overhang. Over time, that is going to struggle to hold its weight because it's unsupported by any rock underneath, and it collapses. It then adds debris, it adds sediment, bits of rocks to the plunge pool below. And the movement of the water, that turbulent water in the plunge pool below, further erodes the soft rock through abrasion and hydraulic action. And this process will repeat, causing the waterfall to retreat upstream, forming a narrow gorge. Okay, so have a check and see if you got those in the correct order. What we're going to do next is make sure that we can put all of these words into a really good explanation of how a waterfall forms. And I've helped you out here to enable you to write this up into your booklet. So you'll notice that I've highlighted some of the key words that we would have to use, okay? So there are alternate bands of harder, more resistant rock that sit on top of the soft, less resistant rock. Through the processes of erosion, hydraulic action and abrasion, the softer rock erodes at a faster rate than the harder rock, creating a rock step. Over time, the step will become steeper and the force of the water will create a plunge pool below. As a result, the processes of erosion continue to take place and undercut the soft rock. The more resistant rock is left sticking out as an overhang, and as it is unsupported, it eventually collapses, which means that more debris is added to the plunge pool to continue to erode the soft rock. The process repeats, causing the waterfall to retreat upstream, forming a narrow gorge. So you might want to pause now if you want to write this up if you haven't already. Or alternatively, you may decide not to write your explanation up right now, but challenge yourself a little bit more. You might want to go away and watch the Time for Geography video on waterfalls that is mentioned in your booklet. And you can maybe watch that, then come back with the key words and see if you could write up your own explanation of a waterfall, because that might mean that it sticks in your head a little bit better as well. But you are also, of course, welcome to use this explanation. You might want to pause here if you are copying up this explanation, because I'm about to just move on to the next thing. Okie dokie, this is the last bit then. You'll see in your booklet that you've got a map, and what we want you to do is add to it located examples. But as always with geography, we need named examples so we can really show the examiner that we know what we're talking about and that we've got good examples as evidence to support that. So the River Severn then has a waterfall that is called Severn Breaks Its Neck, and it looks just like this. Okay. So if you could add that onto your map, that would be great. That is the end of our lesson on waterfalls and gorges. I hope that you have had chance to take this all in. If you would like to send me your explanation of the formation of a waterfall, if you have done your own, I would love to see those. Thank you, Year 10. Bye-bye.